Again, looking at more about American government, learn more about our Constitution. After we learn the main parts of the main document, the Constitution, we're looking at the first 10 amendments and kind of what they mean. If you look at your constitutions, the first 10 amendments, you notice, yeah, these things are worded kind of funny. It's that late 18th century writing. Not times you need law degree to understand it. We're going to break these down for you guys really, really quick, highlight a few things that are important in here for each of those ones, right? In your class guide, there's a little table, has all these amendments in it. Go ahead and write down a few things that you need to know about each of these amendments, okay? First off, why do we have a Bill of Rights? Well, it starts off here because of a deal basically that was made, okay? So one of the issues that we had was that some states did not like the idea of the Constitution. That was way too powerful, okay? And they kind of made a deal, right? The deal they made was basically promising to, yeah, we'll ratify the Constitution, but then you agree then, your job then is to agree to make a Bill of Rights, to basically write down the rights of the people so we can limit the power of the government. I think it's as a shield, if you will, okay, a shield that is going to protect people from the government. That's kind of what the whole job of these things are. Let's break them down, okay? Our First Amendment. Now, this one has a lot of different rights in it, okay? The first big part is about religion. So it says we can create and follow our own religions, okay? And the government cannot force us to practice a certain religion. We call this two clauses to religion. There is an establishment clause. The government cannot make an official religion. And there's a free exercise clause. We can practice our religion. Now, we hear about freedom of speech a lot. I have freedom of speech, all that kind of thing. It talks about we can speak our minds and share opinions freely. So in a public forum, right, on public land, that kind of stuff, not on somebody's house or private property, we can express our opinions. There are some limits, though. You can't threaten people. You can't slander people. We'll get more into that a little later on. Just note there are some limits to that freedom of speech part. We have freedom of the press. The press here is the media. So essentially the media has freedom to publish news and information. And the government cannot limit them what they can publish unless it's like a major threat, like a major threat to national security kind of thing. We also can come together and talk in groups about different topics. Some countries actually ban people meeting in groups. They think, oh, if you're meeting in groups, it means you're conspiring about something. Well, we can meet in groups, right? And lastly, we can make complaints to our government. And so if we think something's not right, we can complain to government. Say, hey, government, you're doing stuff wrong, man. And we can fix and encourage them to fix those issues. That's probably the longest one, right? And that one gets brought up the most. Number two is what is also very popular, the Second Amendment, okay? Back then, it was designed about the idea of a militia and National Guard. You could have a gun. So over time, the interpretation has changed a little bit to say that people can own their own weapons. Every state has some different rules, though, about who can have guns, when they can have them, what kind of guns they can have. And so it's kind of a interpretation thing about how this is interpreted. Some people don't necessarily agree with the current interpretation, and some people wish the interpretation was more expanded right now. Okay, but basically, yeah, you can have weapons, you can own personal weapons and guns, that kind of stuff, but there can be some limits on what those are. Third Amendment, really quick, basically, they can't force anybody to put soldiers in your house. The British did this during the Revolutionary War, that's why. Yeah, anyway, basically, they can't force you to put soldiers in your house, that's it. Number four, big one, okay? Essentially, nobody, the government, cannot search your property without good reason and a warrant. So in a warrant, you need something called probable cause. Basically, a judge decides that there's enough reason, right, to search you. This could mean like a blood test. It could mean searching your papers. It could mean searching your computer, searching your house, your car, all those kind of things. But essentially, we what's called probable cause in order for it to happen. There are some things that go around this, right? There are some times that police do not need a warrant. There are also some times that the government also kind of extends this through like a time of war and the Patriot Act and all those kind of things as well. Just kind of know that part. We have Amendment 5. This is all about criminal proceedings, right? 5 and 6 are all about if you are accused of a crime, what are your rights? So this one here basically says that you cannot be charged with a crime unless you're accused by a court. So essentially, they have to have some reason to accuse. They can't just randomly accuse people of crimes. They have to actually have some good reason to accuse you. You also can't be tried more than once for the same crime. A great example is the OJ trial, right? If you are found not guilty for a crime, they cannot just charge you again with a new jury and hopefully you find you guilty this time. The last one's kind of a weird one here too, that if the government takes your land, they got to pay you for it. So for example, Badger Ammo by us. That was a government facility. They took the land from farmers to make that property, but they had to pay them for it, okay? Amendment 6, this is more about criminal stuff again. So here, a big thing about is your trial rights. So number one, talk about a fair, public, and quick trial. So basically, a trial has to be public. You can walk into any courtroom you want to and watch a trial. A trial has to be fair. They have to make sure that there's no way that a judge is going to have some opinion against a person in the trial. And they also have to make sure that the trial is going to be quick. They can't say, yeah, we're going to have your trial in 20 years and you're going to wait in jail till then. You also have to be told what charges you have against you, and you have to be allowed to have a lawyer to help you defend your case. Obviously, a person with a high school degree or even less against somebody who has a law degree isn't going to be able to argue the same way. A lot of people, this has been broken in a lot of cases and also been argued in a lot of cases as well. Amendment 7 is also kind of a outdated little thing a little bit here, but this is about civil cases, right? So essentially, a civil case can have a jury trial. And so it's allowed to have a jury trial for a case more than $20, and basically also involving individual rights. So Brown v. Board of Education, which led to desegregation of schools, was around the 7th Amendment that you could have a civil trial and be tried by a jury federally. Amendment 8 is penalty for crimes. Essentially, make sure that a penalty is reasonable for a crime you have. So it bans torture, all that kind of stuff, and makes sure that the punishment fits the crime. It can't be anything that's too crazy. Death penalty obviously is a big debate here. Also, like how much bail is, right? If you get accused of a crime and arrested, what your bail is going to be. Those are kind of big questions here. 9 and 10. So 9 basically says you have more rights than are present. So like applying for jobs, medical privacy, etc. They said that, there are more rights that exist than are listed in the Bill of Rights. Just know there are a few more things out there. Okay. And lastly, Amendment 10. Really important one here that says basically there are more rights that exist, right? Anything that's not in the Constitution goes to the states to people. So if it's not talked about in the federal Constitution, it goes to the states. Things like death penalty, not in the Constitution, goes to the states. Some taxes, goes to the states. Public protection, police, that kind of stuff. Speed limits, driving age, helmet laws, drinking age, all that kind of stuff is all not in the Constitution, so it goes state by state. All right, there's your quick overview of the amendments. We'll do some activities with us in class. I thank you for your time and your attention.